Killing to me is like taking out the garbage. I don't like doing it, but it's gotta be done.
What is going on, YouTube? I am Lamont at large. Today I am in Clifford, New Jersey, right across the water from Manhattan. And today we're going to talk about the unsolved mercy killing of Willie Moretti. Was this really a mercy killing? You be the judge. Syphilis. At one time, it was a dreaded STD. Signs and symptoms were one of the following: sores on your genital area or your mouth, followed by rashes on your body, a sore throat, fever, headache, swollen glands. Later in the developmental stages, it spreads to other parts of your body and starts affecting the functions of your organs: heart, kidneys, liver, and your brain. As the bacterial infection reaches that very important organ encased in that protective case called your skull. Some famous people have lost their lives to it: Paul Gauguin, Edward Manet, and author Oscar Wilde. But of course, the most famous person to die of it of all time being Al Capone. But there is another mafiosi-based gangster who died of syphilis. Well, not from it, but got whacked because he had it, and that man's name was Juarino Morelli, also known as Willie Moretti. Moretti was a very well-known and connected underboss of the Genovese crime family and cousin of the family boss, Frank Costello. Moretti and his family immigrated to the United States from Italy in the late 1800s and settled in New Jersey. On January 12, 1913, after being convicted of robbery in New York City, Moretti was sentenced to a year in prison. After getting out on good behavior, things quickly moved up in the wrong way for the young and up-and-comer. Over the next several decades, moving through the 1950s, a very well-connected syndicate of the New York underworld circled around Willie's world. Joe Adonis, Settimo Accardi, Abner Zillman. A host of lucrative gambling dens lined Moretti's pockets full of money, the likes with which he had never seen before. Moretti was the godfather of then-unknown singer Frank Sinatra. Sinatra's first wife, Nancy Barbato, was a paternal cousin of John Barbato, a Moretti associate. Moretti helped Sinatra get bookings in New Jersey clubs in return for kickbacks. Finally, in 1939, Sinatra signed a recording contract with bandleader Tommy Dorsey. However, by the 1940s, Sinatra had achieved national popularity and wanted to sign a more lucrative contract, but Dorsey refused to release him from their existing contract. A rumor claimed that Sinatra asked Moretti for help, and it was alleged that Moretti jammed a gun barrel down Dorsey's throat and threatened to kill him if he did not release Sinatra. Dorsey eventually sold the contract to Sinatra for $1. In the 1950s, the U.S. Senate Committee on Organized Crime started an investigation on members of New York's underworld, along with other members of the Genovese crime family. While the other mobsters called to testify, Moretti was the only one who cooperated with the committee. During a hearing, Moretti was asked how long he had been in the mafia. He replied, quote, "What do you mean? Like, do I carry a membership card that says Mafia on it?" And when asked how he operated politically, he said, quote, "I don't operate politically. If I did, I'd be a congressman." The senators and spectators in the room broke out laughing at his responses. It almost seems that Moretti was untouchable, almost bulletproof, if you will, but one thing that was able to reach Moretti that New York City detectives were not able to do, and that was this thing called syphilis. Syphilis is a bacterial infection often passed through sexual contact. Nowadays, it is quite an easily treated STD, but in the early part of the 20th century, not so much. Before the advent of penicillin, it was often seen as a deadly disease. First, the disease would start with genital ulcers, then progress to a fever, general rash, joint and muscle pains. Pock marks cover your body along with foul-smelling abscesses and sores. It affects your organs and starts affecting the nervous system, including your brain, and for Willie Moretti, he was but only one of its many sufferers. As syphilis affects your brain, it can cause loss of feeling in the body, blindness, and dementia. And it was widely known that Moretti was afflicted with the disease, and it was alleged that Moretti's mental condition was deteriorating from its effects. He had become very talkative over the ensuing months, freely talking about family business and telling mob associates about supposed hits, people that were not supposed to know. It was finally decided that an open contract had to be placed on Willie Moretti's life, not so much a murder, than it being more of a mercy killing. On October 4th, 1951, Moretti was having lunch with 4 other associates at Joe's Elbow Room in Cliffside, New Jersey. The waitress working that day remembers the men who were the only patrons in the restaurant that day joking in Italian before she went into the kitchen. At 11:28 a.m., the restaurant staff heard gunshots and ran into the dining room to see Moretti lying on his back on the floor with bullet wounds to the face and head. The people he was dining with were nowhere to be found. And here we are, 793 Palisade Avenue. Now it is known as Villa Amalfi Ristorante. But back on October 4th, 1951, this was Joe's Elbow Room, and this is, of course, where Willie Moretti was shot and killed. The so-called mercy killing. And he barely made it to the menu, didn't even get a chance to eat when he was shot and killed. And here we are, our final stop. We're at the St. Michael's Cemetery here in South Hackensack, New Jersey. And right by the front gate right there is a crypt with a cross on top. And in this crypt is one Juarino Willie Moretti. You know, this guy was a very well-liked guy in the mob, you know. It just, they felt that they had to take him out because if they didn't, he was going to start squealing, and they couldn't have that now, could they? Anyways, I'm out of here, guys. On to the next vlog. Wherever that might be, who knows? Anyways, catch up with you later. I'm out of here. Peace out.